Hello guys, welcome to our channel Essential BI. Today we are going to discuss about the three topics in Power BI. First we will discuss about measures in Power BI, then calculated columns in Power BI, and what is the difference between the measures and calculated columns in Power BI. So we will discuss one by one, and first we will discuss theory and then we will go with the practical part. So first we will understand what is measures. Measures are the calculations and the aggregations performed on your data to derive the meaningful insights. These calculations can be created using the DAX data analysis expressions, which is also known as the DAX expressions. And those calculations may be divided into the multiple categories, so I will discuss about that categories. The one of the categories is summarization and aggregations. So in these categories we can use sum, average, count, min, max, median. Those are the measures which can be used in the summarization and aggregation categories. So now we will discuss what is the use of the sum in the Power BI. So sum calculate the sum of the columns or measures. Average compute the average of the columns or measures. Count calculates the counts of the number of the rows in a tables or filter set of the rows. Another category is the filter context and row context. So in the filter context and row context, we can use the multiple measures like filters, filter rows, pin, pick values. There are multiple values which is used to get the filter data in the Power BI. So, and Power BI measures that category is based on the two things, that is filter context or row context. Either you want to filter your data on basis of the row or column. Now coming on the another category, one is time intelligence is one of them, one of the most important category in the measures. Power BI has built-in functions for the time-based calculations which are especially used to analyzing the data over time. Functions we can use, like we can use the multiple functions: date add, date difference, total YTD, uh, total 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 YTD is same period last year fields. That will help us to create the measures. Like if we want to create some kind of the measure that will be which will give the data of the same period last year, so we can use that same period last year functions. So those are the built-in functions, predefined functions which has been created already in the Power BI. Ranking and percentile. So you can create the measures to rank data and calculate the percentiles which are valuable for the accessing the performance and identifying the outliers. Aggregating the across tables. So those are the two functions. Related and related tables are the functions which comes under the aggregating and across tables category. Conditional logic. So conditional logics, there are DEX function can support the if else statement. Otherwise you can use the switch, and in the if else statement you can use filters as well. All switch statement, both are similar statement. If and switch are similar in terms of the filtering, but you can use the filters in the switch as well. Now coming on the calculated columns, calculated columns are the derived from the existing columns. Suppose if we have columns, we have multiple columns in our table, so we can derive a calculated columns on basis of the existing columns in the data in the Power BI. So what it will do, it will just computing the each row in a tables. Unlike the measures, calculated columns consume the memory and can impact the performance. So if we are creating the calculated column, so it will consume the memory and it will impact the performance. like it will create the heaviness of the Power BI file. And calculated, like measures are created on the created for the dynamic values, but calculated columns are created on the static values. So static values during the data import and refresh, they become the part of the data models structures. They contain the pre-computed values that do not change based on the interaction or slicer selections. Storage. Storage, calculated columns add the storage of the data model size, as we have already mentioned that thing, that is pre-defined values, and those are the statics. So those will capture the memory of the Power BI, and that will increase the size of the Power BI files. With the help of the calculated columns, what we can do the complex transformations. Suppose we want to combine multiple columns into the single columns, so we can do that thing in with the help of the calculated columns in the Power BI. Now coming on the difference between calculated columns and measures. So this question is the most demanding questions that is asked in the many interviews. So that's why I'm just trying to cover that topics, measures and calculated columns. Measures and calculated columns in the Power BI serve the different purposes and have the distinct characteristics. So if we will talk about the measures, so measures are the calculated on the fly based on the context of your report. They adapt to slicer, filters, and user interactions, providing the real-time calculations. Measures are typically used for the aggregations and calculations to involve the summarizing the data, such as calculating totals, average, counts, percentage, and other calculations. Measures are generally more efficient in terms of the memory because it is not consuming the memories. Now coming on the calculated columns are computed during the data import and refresh, become the part of the data model of the structures. Calculated columns add to the storage size of data models as they store the values for every row in a table. Calculated columns are used for the complex transformations that are not easily achievable with the measures. Calculated columns when you need to perform the one-time data transformations that do not change based on the report interactions. So those are the difference between measures and calculated columns. So we have covered that theoretical part as of now. Now we will see and we will create some measures and some calculated columns. So let's jump into the Power BI screen. So here we have the Power BI desktop and we have multiple tables. So on basis of the tables, we will create first measures. So by to creating the measures, first we need to create one tables. So by clicking on enter data, we can create one table and we can name that table measures tables. And we can give that column name ABC, load that table. So it will create the table. So now the table is created. So what we can do, we can just create one simple measures. So by clicking on three dots, if we will click on the three dots, it will give us the option whether you want to create measures or column. So I will click on measures. So here it has given us the measures. So now I want to calculate the total sales in the summarization category. So total sales sum. Now it is asking about the sales. So what we can do, we can take the customer sales. So this is the measures. Now if you can see here, that table in a table form. If I will delete that column from this model, so it will become the measures tables and the icon will be changed, if you can see here. Okay, so now we have created one measures. So what we have observed, we can create measures in another table, or we can create the measures in the original table as well. But if we want to create some kind of the calculated column, so we cannot create that calculated columns. If suppose if I want to pick that pick column from this table, so I cannot create calculated column from the customer table. That is not possible. If I want to create the column from the customer table, that I need to create the calculated column from the in customer table as well. So I just click on, so here we need to create a column calculated one, calculate one. Okay, so now what we need to create, I just want to add order customer ID and order ID. Customer ID and order ID. Let's see what happened. So that column has been created. So now I need to see what we have created. Click on the table view. So table view, if we will click, so what it has done, it has customer ID and order ID. So what is the customer ID? Customer ID is KD 16270, or order ID is CA. So it has combined that order ID and customer ID. So that is, and that column is populated in the table. So in basis of that column we can create the relationship, but in for the measures we cannot create the we cannot use that measures to create the relationship between the tables. So we can use the calculated columns to create the relationship between the two tables. So that is the difference between measures and tables, measures and calculated columns. Okay, so now coming on that main page, so that we have created. If we want to create another measures, so I can create. Now here I can create the count of the customer ID. Customer. So now I need to count customer ID. So it will give us the customer count. Now, if in addition in the calculated column, if we want to perform the if else condition, so we can also perform. But first of all, we need to identify on which column we want to perform the calculated columns. So I need to select one more thing. So I need to, okay, I can apply on the central. Okay, that is the for value. So what we can do, we can uh, apply that if else condition in this one. So what, edit query, first of all, new column. So we are performing region, okay, new region sort, region sort form, region sort. So if region equal to south, then print s, as, else if customer region, customer region equal to best, then w if customer region equal to east, 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 then e if if central, if customer region equal to central, then c. Now else null. Now close the bracket, else a, click that column. So let's see what is happening. Okay, so why it is not picking the central? Okay, it is not picking the central conditions. C and okay, why it is not picking? We have mistaken the spelling, so it will not give us the a value. So if we can see, we have, if if the region is central, then we have print central C. If region is east, we have print E. If region is south, then we have print S. If region is best, then we have already print W. So that is the calculated columns. On basis of that calculated columns, we can create the relationship as well. So I hope you will understand that thing. Okay. So so that's all for the today, and thanks